much. Welcome, everyone. How about this crowd? Is this unbelievable? Can you hear me out? This is so good. Kristen, you and Brian are amazing. The effort and time that you put into all this stuff with your team. How about a great round of applause for Brian and Kristen? I know for a fact it's been a labor of love, isn't that right, Brian? But we're in for a great time tonight. So glad you all are here. Kristen, why don't you come and bring up those who are going to do our pledges?
And then if someone can turn off the music, I think maybe it just went off. Okay. So I am going to call up here Holly Juneau. She is the East Montgomery County Republican Woman President, and she will be opening the evening in prayer. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Louder. Good evening, everyone.
There you go.
So I asked the Lord what He wanted to say, because I wasn't quite sure, and I'm going to read to you what He gave me. So if we could bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, it is with a grateful heart that we stand here today, humbled as a county and as a nation where we choose to call you by name. In the midst of war and rumors of war, help us to stand strongly united by faith and command us your blessing. We thank you for your continued protection of Donald Trump, his family, our military, our first responders, Montgomery County, and our nation. We lift up our servicemen and women at the Air Force Base in Iraq today and ask you to surround them with your presence, your peace, and your continued protection. Teach us how to hear your voice and to obey. As your people, we will humble ourselves and pray and seek your face. Help us, O Lord, to turn from our wicked ways, for then you will hear from heaven, will forgive our sins, and you will heal our land. We were founded by our forefathers through faith in you and your kingdom with no end. It is as strong as iron that can crush and break our enemies. Help us to stand strong and invincible and yet remain united as your people, and that you would allow America to shine once again like a city that is set on a hill. As many before us have laid down their lives on foreign soil, help us Republicans and ambassadors to lay down our lives and lead this nation. Lastly, Father, you are the maker of heaven and earth. Help us to understand the times as we fight to uphold the integrity of the 2024 election. We ask you, Father, for victory and to win with a mighty hand and put your enemies under our feet. Lord, may your eyes be open and your ears attentive to us in this place. And may we remain dear to your heart for your glory and for our future good. In Jesus' name we call it done. Amen. Amen.
Okay, next is our pledges, if you'll stay standing. Lee Billingsley, who is the president for the North Shore Republican Women, and Charlotte Beelan, who is the president for Liberty Bells, are going to come forward and lead us in these pledges.
If you'll join me to pledge to the United States flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'll join me in a pledge to the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
So we have a little surprise tonight for our MC that he was not aware of. So I don't know if anyone's been paying attention to social media and Hurricane Beryl, But if you lost power,
No, it's fine.
this man standing to my right has been on the forefront
I'll stay with the
championing
camera.
for your rights and holding them on the line. So if I can have the Republican women presidents, any elected official that wants to come forward, any officers of our club, we're going to present County Judge Mark Keogh with an award of appreciation. Holly Juno, if you'll read the pledge that you had made on it. I know that he does not like attention being put on him like this, so bear with us. Come on over here. Any elected official, any Republican women group member, any officer want to come up and stand in this picture with the judge? And if anyone is so inclined to take a group picture for us with your cell phone, we would appreciate it. This might end up somewhere in the news. Please bear with us as everyone comes forward. Judge, you're going to have to come up here to the front. Yes, please bring him his wife. Kim Keogh, thank you for giving us your husband all these nights. We appreciate you.
Yeah, you need to be up. Awesome. I want to stand in your chair. Or I'll hand you my camera.
Can you get us? Okay, they're going to take our picture at the front if everyone will smile.
Okay. What?
Thank you, Judge. So Holly's going to read the inscription on the plaque she had made.
Here you go. Here.
So, the top of the plaque says Judge Mark Keogh, and it has a Texas flag waving, and it says, "We honor and recognize your steadfast commitment to Montgomery County, Texas. Presented on August 5th, 2024, by the Montgomery County Republican community."
You know, one of the things I have said ever since COVID was truth is stranger than fiction. And some of the things that we have been through here in Montgomery County, you cannot make this stuff up. First thing you know, we have a hurricane, then we're fighting with electric companies. You've got to be kidding me. But you know, at the end of the day, I have to tell you, I wish I was smart enough to navigate through this stuff, but I'm not. And I've been surrounded with some uniquely gifted, our commissioners, our leadership, our judges, Jason Millsaps, Jason Smith. I mean, I could go on and on. Who just have advised me and helped me. But more than that, I'm telling you from my heart, I give all the credit to the Lord and the wisdom. And as I've asked people, and they say to me, say, "Judge, how can we pray for you?" I say, "I need you to pray for two things. I need wisdom to look at all of this through the eyes of God. And the second thing is I need the favor of the people to get anything done." So I have to tell you, I know it sounds like I'm not speechless, but I really am. And I just thank you all so much, so much. And for my bride, Kim, man, sometimes we're like ships passing in the night, I'm telling you. And when we were out there, Jason and Jason, early, when it was dark, and then staying late and just helping people and taking ice to people and all the rest. It was pretty remarkable. Thank you, sweetie. I love you, baby.
If you're an elected official, go ahead and stay up here because we have 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to go real fast because I know you came to hear from the speakers and they're after me. So I'm going to announce all of our elected officials that are here, and I'm going to just name them and y'all can clap at the end. County Court at Law Judge, John Hafley. Constable Precinct 5, Chris Jones. MUD Director, David Smith. Precinct 1 Constable, Philip Cash. Montgomery County Hospital Board, Georgette Watley. Montgomery County Hospital Member, Brent Thor. Precinct 2 Commissioner, Charlie Riley. County Judge, Mark Keogh. Precinct Constable-elect, David Eason. Brandon Deckard here is for Representative Steve Toth. Patty Guinness, Judge of the 435th District Court. Brandon Steinman, our Montgomery County Clerk. Shiva here with Brandon Creighton's office. Tim Hayes, Montgomery County MUD number 140. Did I miss any elected officials off that list? Okay, good. Thank you all so much for being here. And then I'm going to name our party officials. If you'll stand up in your place, we appreciate your volunteerism. The following precinct chairs: Jack Munich, Judy Thomas, Charlotte Bellin, Stacy Kellum, Sandra Brewer, Mark Frank, Raquel Lewis, Sunday Shibley, Susan Rollins, Amy Van Horn, Scott Baker, Clarence Lewis Jr., Lori Clifton. It's a lot of Republican Party officers. Paul Jabolis, Linda Stuckey, Tom Conley. Have I missed anyone? Tammy Lake, Charlie Pareda. Thank you so much for your service. And then he should have probably been listed on the elected officials. But as of January 1st, we will have a new sheriff. Wesley Doolittle, where are you? Congratulations. Wesley will be giving us 100 days in office update in the spring. Please speak. You agreed to it. You did? Yes. Yeah, we're going. And then we have someone here from Montgomery County Hospital District, Arnett. If you'll stand up, please go meet Arnett and talk to him. He's running for office. I have one more thing to say before I hand you over back to Judge Keogh and then our speakers. So we only meet here quarterly. There's a lot of new people here, and you need to get involved. And I want to let you know that there's probably a Republican club right in your neighborhood. So I'm going to start listing them. When I announce your club, please stand up. And East Montgomery County Republican Women, they meet in New Caney in the evening, the second Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. We've got the Hispanic Conservatives of Montgomery County. They meet the second Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Lake Conroe Area Republican Women, they meet at the Walden Yacht Club the third Thursday of the month at noon. Ladies. Liberty Bells Republican Women, they meet at Panorama Golf Club. Hey, Panorama right there. They meet the second Thursday of every month, and they flip-flop between daytime meetings and nighttime meetings. The Montgomery County Republican Women, I think we've got some back there. They meet the fourth Thursday of every month at lunch at River Plantation. The North Shore Republican Women, that's another big showing. Where are y'all at? They meet at the Bentwater Country Club the first Wednesday of every month at noon. The Woodlands Republican Women meet at the Woodlands Country Club, and they meet the second Wednesday, there you go, Amy, of every month at noon. And then lastly, we've got the beautiful Wood Forest Area Republicans right here, and they meet the second Monday of every month at the Harvest Market in Wood Forest. There's also the Magnolia Republican Club. We meet the third Monday of every month at 6 o'clock. So that's us. Come see, they've got a little kinder or Republic Kids Club. So come see them. They meet once a month. I would be remiss without telling everyone, this is 2 more announcements I have. Texas Youth Summit. Sage Gable, where are you at? Is he still here? I think he put around some papers on your table. The 20th and the 21st, they have John Jr., Congressman Wesley Hunt, Riley Gaines. It's only $1 for youth ages 12 to 26. Get your kids and grandkids involved, and adults can attend for $50. The Ted Cruz campaign is here. Raise your hand where you're at. Go see them. They'll get you signed up. And in the very back corner, we're selling Trump gear and Trump signs. That's all I got. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. I neglected to mention something that I just want to. Commissioner Gray out in East County, Commissioner Gray in East County had a number of pods that we went out and did. And we were able to go out there and to literally hand out thousands of cases of water and ice and MREs, things where they could eat right now. And people had real need as they were coming through, as they were in 104 degrees. Well, at the same time, over in Magnolia, Commissioner Riley worked with me as we literally rode those guys at center point. And I apologize for that, Commissioner, but eventually we got it done, and I thank you for your help with that. We couldn't have done it without your assistance. It's awesome. And then Commissioner Walker, many of you don't know, but there was a bridge out on 1097. It had been washed out. And when we first talked to TxDOT, they were talking 3.5 months. Well, we got school on the 15th. We have first responders and the ambulances on both sides. They couldn't get through. And through the efforts of Commissioner Walker and myself and working with these guys and Jason Smith and Jason Millsaps, that thing was open in less than 2 weeks. It was amazing. And we can go over it right now. And we couldn't have done that without the commissioners. We have got fantastic commissioners. I'm so proud to be able to work with them. Commissioner, God bless you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Now, on with the business. Thank you, sweetie. You can go ahead and sit down. Thank you. So tonight, we have a couple of speakers, and we're going to hear first from Marco Saltarelli. Marco Saltarelli is a retired special agent with the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. We refer to it as ICE. Mr. Saltarelli has been dedicated to serving with the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Justice since 1993, and participated after 9/11 and some of the issues that happened there, the merger of 2003 of the investigative and interior enforcement elements of the former U.S. Customs Service and the Immigration and Naturalization Service. ICE now has more than 20,000 law enforcement and support personnel in more than 400 offices in the United States and around the world. His specialization was in narcotics and gang-related cases. He has spearheaded numerous significant federal investigations and has been commended by various national organizations and agencies. A true patriot, Marco Saltarelli. Come and speak to us. Good evening, everybody. That's the first time I've ever heard I can't be heard. My name is Marco Saltarelli. Been in Montgomery County since about 1996. You like this? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. My name is Marco Saltarelli. I've been in Montgomery County since about 1996. Moved here from Yuma, Arizona, where I was working on the southern border. Big difference. Still? You're my coach. Okay. What I'm going to talk to you tonight about is Del Rio, Texas, September of 2021. We got invaded by between 10 and 30,000 Haitian illegal aliens. I'm going to kind of walk you through that right now.
Okay, there's me. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, retired agent with DHS, and I've been assigned to task forces in Montgomery County, like I said, since 1996. Okay, Del Rio, Texas, September of 21. Some of the agencies involved were us, HSI. Our rapid response team was down there. Our special response team was down there. U.S. Border Patrol was there. Texas DPS and U.S. Department of Health. There was more agencies down there, but I didn't work with them, so these are the ones I know. Okay, thousands of agents were deployed down there. They had deployed thousands, and then they reinforced with 600 more. So there was a lot of people down there. Keep that slide in the back of your memory, because we're going to talk about it in a couple minutes. Okay, 700 DPS troopers were down there. There's a video that goes with this, and unfortunately, it's not working over here, but the DPS mark units, they went for miles. They were just lined up, just like you see them right there, just all along the river. It was pretty impressive to see. But who's in here, who's been worked with DPS, on the road with DPS? Anybody? What's the main purpose of DPS?
Public safety. Public safety.
Public safety on the roads? Okay. I'm not sure how safe the roads were during this period, because every marked unit was down on the river down there. If you were going to drive drunk, that was the time to do it. Okay, this is another video. It's just showing all the vehicles that were down there, so we'll push through that. Okay, Highway Patrol. I mean, they were down there in huge numbers, and it was a great show of force, and it was nice to see them all down there and basically playing on our team. It was sad though, because they were kind of doing our job, because the government handcuffed all of us and wouldn't let us do what we were paid to do. Our job is immigration enforcement. If you come in illegally, there's laws that you've broken, and our job is to enforce it. But unfortunately, they were tying our hands, and we were just having to watch everybody come in. So it was not a fun time. Next slide. Okay. Many of these Haitians were very sick. Back in 21, everybody was worried about COVID, getting your shots, being sick, and everything else. These people, you can't really see in the picture. You can barely see it. They're carrying somebody off that just fell out with an unknown sickness. They had to take him to an American hospital in Del Rio. So there's a bunch of people that were coughing, sick, throwing up, everything else, and they were just letting them all into the United States. Am I being too quiet again? Okay, this little one right here was a little Haitian illegal that had COVID symptoms, had the fever, was coughing, everything else. So they took her into the States and treated her, but that's the kind of things we were dealing with down there. So that's kind of a view of the Haitian camp. They were all behind there. They had all pitched little kind of tents, Quonset huts, whatever. Huh? Jeez. Okay. They were all down there living in little tents and everything. It smelled awful. There was no shower facilities. There was nothing. They put a bunch of porta potties in, and that was the best that they could do. But it was definitely not sanitary down there. This was going to be another video. What happened to all the illegal aliens from Haiti and Del Rio? What that video shows is them all coming to America. Welcome to America. So 90% of these Asian aliens were either military-age males or single moms. There was a bunch of both. They sent the lion's share of them to Miami. If anybody knows anything about gangs in Miami, the Miami gangs, the Cuban and they're Haitian. Those are the two big ones. Well, the U.S. government just reinforced the Haitian gangs down there. Is what we did. So, okay. Okay. All right. Remember this photo. We talked about this earlier. It's a pretty famous photo. This is the one where the Border Patrol agent was accused of, I think they said, strapping the alien. If you look at the picture, you can clearly see he's got his hand on the guy's shirt, not on his ring. So, but what did the government do to this agent? that? Okay, Biden condemns border agents. Treatment of Haitian migrants, vows they will face the consequences. Okay, we got no support from our chain of command, none. Okay, next one. Vice President Harris referred to us as the KKK. So, imagine being that agent, okay? Okay, they opened up a criminal investigation on each agent and an internal affairs investigation. Law enforcement people in here, has anybody had an internal affairs investigation? Well, if you know me, I know this will surprise you. I had a few. And so, okay, it came out that it was a lie. Okay, the media finally came clean and said it wasn't true, that the agent didn't do anything wrong. Mayorkas, my favorite guy. He met with the Border Patrol agents, but wouldn't apologize. No agent got apologized to, and they went forward on suspending. I think they gave him 3 days on the beach for nothing, but they had to save face, so they kept going with that. Okay. So what did these agents get for their bravery and dedication? Next one. Okay, you can't really see that, but these are some of the psychological effects of an internal affairs investigation. Okay, you don't sleep. It's very stressful. A lot of people get medical conditions, stress-related medical conditions behind it. Your family's tense, your finances are tense, everything's tense. That's what these agents got put through. What did the American people get? Okay, this is Terry and Brenda Altman. They lived in Florida. They went to a bike rally. I'm not sure if it was a motorcycle rally or if it was bicycles or whatever, but it was a bike rally that they went to. Next slide. They met this guy, Gene McKeon. He's charged with their murder. He stabbed both of them to death. There was no reason for it. It was just a random killing. He found both of them, stabbed both to death. Never guess where he's from. Haiti. Haiti. He's an illegal alien from Haiti. Thank you, Joe Biden. That's my opinion on that. Thank you all very much. I know there's going to be a question and answer period at the end. I'll be happy to answer it after Nappy talks.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Marco. We appreciate that so much. And just so you all know, we're at the end, we're going to have a time for question and answer in kind of a forum. So to gather your thoughts as things are coming up and as you're hearing things, it would be helpful to do it that way. There you go, sorry. Next person, though, that I want to introduce is Jim Napolitano. Not a stranger to all of us here. Jim is a retired Secret Service agent who for 22 years was involved in all aspects of protection for the President of the United States, Vice President and First Family's former President, presidential candidates, foreign dignitaries, and events or locations deemed high threats for terrorist acts. He is an experienced security professional with a demonstrated history of working in the law enforcement industry and private sector. Skilled in emergency management, homeland security, criminal justice, public speaking, security consulting, protection, training, and private investigations. Professional, he has a Bachelor of Science from the University of Houston. He's currently the owner and president of Universal Safety and Security Solutions and has been that and in that position for the last 15 years and 8 months. Now, I did a little research. I tried. You guys are much more secretive than these guys. But I want you to hear these licenses, these license and certifications that include Chief of Police Certification, Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, Law Enforcement Management, Concealed Handgun Instructor, Texas DPS, Control Tactics Instructor, United States Secret Service, extendable baton peacekeeper in the United States Secret Service, firearms training, Texas Department of Public Safety, and United States Secret Service. Can you believe this stuff? And the list goes on and on. Watch this. FEMA Incident Command Certification, IS 100, 200, 700, and 800. We're going to be needing your help with FEMA here shortly. Master Peace Officer, Physical Fitness Instructor, Private Investigator and Security Guard, Texas Private Security Bureau, Public Information Officer for the Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, Rescue Swimmer and Dive Instructor, United States Secret Service, and lastly, Texas Private Security Classroom and Firearms Instructor, Texas Private Security Bureau, another true patriot, Jim Napolitano.
Good evening. The first thing I'm going to say is my name, Jim Napolitano, but everybody knows me as Nappy because it's just short for Napolitano. It also means dirty diaper in Great Britain for all your folks. I could never be here if it wasn't for my wife, Angie, and my beautiful little girl. You know, they say that behind every good man is a great woman. Well, actually, she's in front. So, thank you very much for letting me come out and speak to y'all tonight. I have to say that the Secret Service has unfortunately been in the news way too much in the last few days. So go to the next. This is a video I was going to show, kind of a goofy video. This, as you can see, there's a couple running on the beach. And if you can play the video, the next thing you can see is the security guy up behind them. So they don't have any privacy. And then they go to another scene and another scene. And that's how it is. You live someone else's life, and you're a pain in there you know what. So she'll say, you can't go there, you got to get in the car like this. How many people have seen the movie Guarding Tess? Yeah. It was all real. I thought they followed me around for a year and a half. Because I was Mrs. Bush's agent for 1 year after they left office. Everywhere she went, it was me and tranquility. So go to the next slide. You can't really tell, but I actually had hair in that picture. That's 1984 when I started with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office here in '83. Learned how to be a true law enforcement officer right here on the streets of Conroe, Montgomery, and all around our county. Great place to live. And when I had the chance to come back, well, here I am. I'm back again. So some of the protection. Visiting world heads of state, elected officials, and then some of the criminal investigations that I've done, which is counterfeiting. And you know, everyone thinks that, well, what's a counterfeit? Oh, some guy's just doing counterfeit money. Every guy doing counterfeit's got some kind of drug deal going on. Absolutely. They're all the same crooks. We just kind of pass them back and forth between different agencies. The last thing, I'm sorry, go back down one more time, is this child pornography thing. Y'all need to understand this, that if you have two images on your computer at home, and we find out, that's 10 years in federal prison. 2 images. And I'd love to come and get you. And unfortunately, some of the agents that I've worked with over the years, we have to view these things so we can present them in court. Agents have left after 4 to 5 years because they can't deal with it anymore. You talk about PTS. These guys go home and they see their own children, and then they live this in their head while they're trying to sleep, and then they don't sleep. So we'll talk about that later. So some of the, Houston field office, did all the squads there, and then I was assigned to a CIA task force for 2 years in the 90s because we thought Hezbollah was counterfeiting U.S. currency and passing it out, and it was actually the best currency we'd ever seen. So the problem was we were running around chasing Hezbollah, but our friends in North Korea were actually making it. So I get back home, and they go, "Hey, you want to go to the Bush detail because he just lost?" And I said, "No." "What do you mean no? Did you ever tell your boss no?" I was like, "Well, why? Mrs. Bush loves you." I said, "Yeah, but they're going to go to Kenny Bunkport 6 months a year." I don't want to go to Kennebunkport for 6 months. You know, I have a family problem, that didn't matter. So that's where they sent me to rescue swimmer school. And let me tell you, I've been through a lot of the schools. You read them out. The only one you didn't read to you was the counter assault team school. The two hardest schools that you'll ever think about going to, rescue swimmer school and counter assault. I'll take counter assault team any day because they're at the bottom of the ocean. You can't breathe. And when you're a rescue swimmer, if you ever look, they don't have tanks on. They're just a swimmer going to rescue out of the water in the worst conditions. So, and my wife, would you hand me that? Sorry, I need a little tea. Mrs. Clinton, one day in Martha's Vineyard, got swept out to sea. And I go in a raging storm. She decided she was going to swim. 8 foot seas. Have you ever seen truly 8 foot seas on an ocean beach? It's horrifying. And I'm out in the water 150 yards, and I'm getting smacked. And so she gets caught in the riptide. Yeah, and I had to grab her and bring her back in. She climbed up on top of my head. You know, well, that's what people do when they're drowning. They just climb on top. So after 2 years with former President Bush, they sent me to President Clinton's detail. That's how I ended up there. I did 5 years at the White House, 5 years. And the things that they're saying on TV about this agency are wrong. And let me tell you, watch the talking heads. And then they bring on, oh, this is an expert. He's an expert. He knows everything. He doesn't know diddly squat. I'd say another word, but I have children here, so. After spending 5 years, 4 on the counter assault team, 2 on the ship, or 1 on the ship, I went to the training center. There I was assigned to control tactics, which is basically our hand-to-hand combat. And I'll tell you this, just a quick story. So 39 and a half years in law enforcement since the very beginning. I've never been injured on the street with a suspect. Took a lot of them down, but never been injured. My 4 years at the training center, they put me in the hospital 4 times. I don't have much of a back left, do I? No. And threw me down some stairs, had major concussions. The last time I got hurt, I woke up in Johns Hopkins. I'd been there for several hours, out cold. They kept me for about a week. After there, Bush gets elected, 43. So some of you ladies can see that I'm wearing my 41 socks today, and my red Republican tie. So I get sent to Waco, to the resident agency there. My first day is February of 2001. I show up at the Dallas field office. George, I call him George because, you know, when I was with his dad, he was just George. So my boss opens up the manual, puts it in front of me, and right there he says, read this sentence. It says, you as the resident agent are responsible for every action, protection, and investigations that happens in this district. I'm responsible. Me. Nobody else. Not the director. I love the news media the other day, and even our friends in Congress. Did you read the survey? The last time a director read a survey, it's like telling, you know, the president of the bank that, did you read that last application for a loan? It's silly. So I left there after a few years as the resident agent over the ranch, and then came back here to the Houston field office, did some work up in Bryan College Station, retired, and then became your police chief up here in Montgomery. So let's go on to the next one. Just a bunch of dignitaries we don't care about. So, anybody know the vice president there? Yeah, it's Dan Quell, taking him on a little trip. The guy with the mustache, I think that's me. Yeah. So we had the Queen here quite a few times, and we took care of Queen Elizabeth, and that's taking her to her plane down at Ellington Airfield. Next. This is the Reagan Library opening for President Reagan's library. This is the last time this many presidents and first ladies have ever been together. And if you look across, oops, I'm stepping in the way, you have Lady Bird Johnson, the Bushes, the Reagans, the Carters, the Fords, and the Nixon. And look down below the Nixons. There's a guy there with a mustache and sunglasses on, sitting the wrong way. That's me sitting right there. Now, the story behind this picture is, I don't know it was taken, right? About 2 years later, it shows up at the George Bush, former president's details office, and it gets handed to me, and I'm looking at it. And while I'm looking at it, I just took it out of the envelope and looking at it. President Bush is walking past me. And he looks down and he goes, "Hey, Nappy, let me see that picture." "Yes, sir." He goes, "Wow, this is great. We're all in this picture. I didn't see one with all of us, like, and the first ladies and everything." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "And that's you sitting right there, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he walked away with it. And I'm standing here looking at my head. He was just, and, you know, he was really good for this. He goes, and I'm like, ah. I got it back 6 months later, framed, matted, with every first lady and president's signature on it. Every one of them. That's the kind of guy he was. And I didn't ask him; he just did it on his own. So, George Senior, that one right there. And you know, just so you know, when I was chief of police in Montgomery, I got together with the city council and we made him an honorary chief of police for the city of Montgomery and gave him his own credentials. And he said to me after he got his credentials, he goes, "So, hey, Nappy, can I carry my 45 now?" Yes, so you can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to stop you. Next one. Rescue swimmers. They train very hard to do the job they got to do. So every time, you know, we didn't think about this rescue swimmer thing. Oh, the Secret Service, what are they doing, rescue swimmers? Because the first summer in 1981 in Kennebunkport, he got in a cigarette boat, took off at 100 miles an hour. And we were in this little Coast Guard thing, and there he is. He's way over there. And George Bush only knew 2 speeds in his boat: go and stop. So, the funny story I have to tell is that first summer, we came up there, and he's now former president, and they had armor-all the seats in his cigarette. And so I'm in the rescue boat behind him, and we were coming into the cove. Now, the cove is where he has his house there in Kennebunkport. If anybody ever been up there, seen the house and where the cove is, and that bay that's right there where he parks his boat, he comes flying in there at 100 miles an hour, and he makes this turn, and that boat goes up like this, and Mrs. Bush slides over the seats all the way up in the air, and then when he does this, she falls on her butt right there in the middle of the deck. And I hear this voice go, "George Bush, that wasn't your finest moment, George Bush." And I turned to my coxswain who's driving our boat, and I go, "Hey, Mike, get out of here. She's gonna be pissed." And he goes, and then I hear, "Nappy, I heard every word you said." So there are funny parts of this, but the serious part is, yes, we train all the time to be out in that water, to rescue people. And it just wasn't him. So actually, you see there's a freighter behind me in that picture. I'm going out to see if we could rescue a fellow that fell off of there. Unfortunately, it was a recovery. So all we got was a body back for them. So, next picture, please. So here we are. You know, so I love all this nonsense that you hear on TV. So where was the counter sniper team for the former president? What's the word I just said? Former president. We all love Donald Trump. We all want him to be our next president. That's why we're all here. But in the end, he was the former president of the United States. The umbrella for the president is different than the umbrella for... So here I am. You see me by myself, right behind Mrs. Bush. Actually, the hat I'm wearing says Colorado Tigers on it. And that lady is trying to touch Mrs. Bush. We're on the golf course at Pebble Beach, and the crowd has now surrounded us. So Andy in the blue hat is working the president, and I'm working Mrs. B, and that lady's trying to touch her. If you look on Mrs. Bush's face, it's not really pleasant, because she's saying to me, without looking at me, "Nappy, don't let that lady touch me." So, and they, you know how, hey guys, you ever go to a store with, you know, like with your wife, like to the department store, they have to touch everything. This dress, that shirt, those pants have to be touched. That's what goes on with her. We got caught in the Galleria one day, and we had 500 people surrounding us, and they were trying to touch her. And she was getting very upset. So I finally took her the shopping bags from her, and I said, "Miss B, just hold on to my belt." And I played like I was a fullback back in high school days, and I knocked about 18 people down, getting her out to the car. And she was crying when we got out to the car. I mean, It's scary to have 500 people on you, and you're watching their hands come to you in your face or trying to touch your body. It's like, whoa, get back. So, next one, please. Okay, so right after President Bush came to Houston as a former president, the Kuwaitis invited him to come to Kuwait for this special occasion to celebrate their freedom. You all remember the first Gulf War, right? Well, here we are in the Emir of Kuwait's tent, getting ready to go on a trip that day all around Kuwait. The Emir's right here. He leaves us after we go. That's me in between the Emir and the president. It was me and two other guys in Kuwait. The Iraqis are right over there. And it turns out the Iraqis sent a bomb to blow us up. If you guys remember, you can look it back up, 1993, attempt on President Bush's life. Next picture. And so there's me, and 41. You see anybody else there? Was there any counter snipers? You see CAT team? It was me and one other guy out a mile and a half from the Iraq border. A mile and a half from the Iraq border. And if you look behind that one Kuwaiti guy standing there, it's still burning out there, and that what looks like a lake is actually all crude oil. I throw away that suit and the shoes because the crude oil gets all over you. You just toss it away. This is where they tried to kill us. So the Iraqis sent a car down there with 480 pounds of Semtex explosives. Parked it right there along our motorcade route. We didn't know it was there. The Kuwaitis didn't tell us because they were embarrassed. They couldn't find the bomb. They found the car. And the EOD dogs sat. But they couldn't figure out where the bomb was. The Iraqis had taken the body off of the vehicle and laid the Semtex in the car, and they put the body back down on top of it so you couldn't see it. So they had to actually call the CIA in. They brought over the United States Navy dogs, and then when they figured out where the bomb was, they finally towed it away, but we went right next to it, right there. And so there I am running behind the limo, and when we're getting our briefing 2 weeks later, the CIA goes, hey, now, look at that. You'd have been vaporized. That's okay, thanks. You know, I'm sure it's the fast way to go. Next one. Here's my counter-assault team in New York one day, not thinking that that picture would ever be exactly what it is, with the towers in the back. Originally from New York City, some of you guys know that. Came here to go to the University of Houston in the 70s. My uncles and my grandfather put all the steel on those two buildings because they ran the cranes in New York City for years. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. I lost a cousin there as a fireman. His fire team, Ladder 4, they called him the Pride of Manhattan. Michael went in, saving people out of the elevators there at Tower 2 when it fell and killed him. So yeah, it's a great picture for me and my guys. Again, so here's the standing president out for a run in the street of DC, right? He's just out for a run. Just a few guys, and not all those guys are agents. Actually, I'm in the back on the far left. Mr. McDonough is right behind him on the shoulder, and then Tommy's behind Bob McDonough right there. And that's it. Well, of course, the cars are all full of agents behind there, but if somebody wanted to take a pot shot at us, they could. Next one, please. Training division. There's me getting beat up again. All right, all you guys, all you law enforcement guys, how many guys have put on the red gear? Come on. You guys all know about the red man gear. It's where you actually go fight each other. And it's not a game, it's the real thing. Go ahead. So at the ranch, when I became the resident agent in charge there in Waco, after the war started, we had all of those protests, if you all remember that. Those are the guys that saved our butts all the time. So all you DPS guys, thank you. With Robert go, he left. But I appreciate it. Because every time those idiots would show up and try to invade President's Ranch, we would bring out 4 or 5 of these riot teams from DPS and take care of it. So I'm going to tell you my funny DPS story. While I'm there, Mrs. Bush is going to come into Baylor University, do this big speech. And the Farrell Center is packed. Her plane lands, she's on a private plane. and I have a full motorcade ready to go. The major from DPS, Waco's there, the captain, DPS lead car, the limo, follow-up, identification car, 2 more tail cars, DPS, all ready to go. Mrs. Bush comes off the plane, and Andy Mahusky goes, or Andy Umlaut says, hey, Mrs. Bush, there's an deputy. She goes, I know it's him. She walks over to me in front of all these cops, all standing there. She hugs and then kisses me on the cheek. And she's not letting me go. She's holding on. And she says in my ear, am I embarrassing you? I said, thoroughly, Mrs. Bush. And so I help her over to the limo. She gets in the limo, and I walk up to the lead car, and Tommy Smith, for all you guys that know Tommy, was the major up there in Waco, goes, so is there something weird going on between you and him? Shut up, just get in the car. And then he says, how are you going to get that lipstick off your face? So she had left the big thing of lipstick on my face. So here I am with President Obama. He's down here on the far right. I'm working a rope line right here. You guys ever think about what that's like? I'm serious. You're trying to look at everyone's face and everyone's hands over and over and over and over again. But somebody wants to shoot him. Always. It didn't matter who the president is. So on July 13th, 2024, when that young man got up at his house, went to his dad, asked for a rifle so he could be a famous person. John Hinckley did the same thing. He didn't hate Reagan. He wanted to shoot the president of the United States. Had stalked Jimmy Carter for months during the campaign. We found him in pictures at the different campaign sites, trying to either make entry into the campaign with a firearm. He actually got caught in Nashville, Tennessee, trying to get on a plane with a firearm. And guess what happened to him? Nothing. They took the gun and let him go. Other things the Secret Service does, for y'all's attention, is in, like I said, it had been about 2006. They built the new Federal Reserve Bank. Anybody ever seen it down on Allen Parkway? Big building there on Allen Parkway? They had to move the money from the old Federal Reserve Bank to the new one. It was $5.5 billion. So my little compadres and I from the Secret Service and a whole bunch of HPD guys, we got together and we moved 13 truckloads of cash at about $480 million a truckload back and forth all night long. And the funny part is we kept it secret pretty good. The only guy that gave us a problem was some homeless dude there at Louisiana and such a, he walked out in the middle of the street after about the 9th time we're going by, who the hell are you guys? Finally, HPD picked him up and took him for a drink someplace, I guess. All right, so there's the venue the other day. I know y'all want to think about this, so there's the venue. There's a lot of people there. A whole lot of people there. And so do you really think, I'm going to do this. The agents that are working the president, that are right next to his limo, he's not gone up on stage yet. All over here, on stage, back here in this tent. You think they can hear the folks way over there outside the perimeter going, that guy's got a gun? You think they can hear that over that crowd? Truthfully, think about it. I love when people, well, they were screaming he had a gun. Yeah, they were 250 yards away with 10,000 people in between them. They didn't hear squat. They're waiting to hear what they can hear over the radio. They are trying to listen to what the command post is telling them, and they didn't tell them anything. So they brought him up there. We're going to talk about something else. Go ahead, next one, please. There he is. Loves this crowd, and he gets them all riled up. So they're yelling and screaming. People are making a lot of noise. We're doing our best. So could you go back to the, please? So you guys see the red, white, and blue bunting there in front of the stage? What do you think's behind that? Armor. Armor enough to stop a 7mm Magnum, 300 Win Mag rifle at close range. So for all you guys that are shooters, right? The round's about that big. Close range, we shoot that armor all the time just to see if it'll hold. That's why they threw him on the floor. And so sure enough, a great close friend of mine, HPD, goes, why didn't they move him right away? Because people were shooting. And then we got him down behind the armor. And guess what? They couldn't shoot him with 5 guys on top of him and armor in front of him.
And it's like, no, they were supposed to move him. And Phil, how many times have you done that? Well, I went to the school and they said that, never mind. So there's the seed. So I want you to put yourself in their position. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make, is that a lot of these talking heads, whenever something happens in law enforcement, they want to tell us how much they know. They've sat in an air-conditioned building their entire life, never been sweaty, never been on the street, never had anyone jump them and fight for their life, but they're going to tell me how I'm supposed to do that site. Let's go to the next one, please. All right, so there you go. There's the location. So the counter sniper teams are up there to do their thing. Okay, did any of y'all watch the presser the other day with the new Ronald Rowe acting Secret Service? Ronald said, somebody finally asked a question. Is this the first time CS, counter sniper, has ever been used for a former president? Did you see the look on his face? And he just went, yes. And that's all he said. Not very informative. Why yes? Why was this the first time CS has ever been dispatched to a site like this? Nobody knows. I don't know, but I've got to tell you this, it made me think, what the hell they got going on there? Because when I saw our guys there, I thought they were, at first, they were the local law enforcement guys. Because that's what we normally use when we didn't have any. So Philip, when we had the visit out here, we used our guys, right? We had constables, sheriff's deputies. When President Trump came here, we used, yeah, there were a few Secret Service guys from the field office and his detail, but that was about it. We were manning this thing with our local law enforcement, not the feds. So, having said that, so I'll let out a secret. When a counter sniper team does their advance, they show up 5 days ahead of time. 5 days. They get assigned a local police person, whichever agency is going to be also working the roof with them, whether it's the state police, the county, the city, it doesn't matter. They get assigned that person. They spend time together. They go out and look at every building. They put together a survey. Each building gets a number. That's the number, not a name. They don't care what the name of the building is. It gets a number. That survey is written up so that we can have counter sniper response teams. What does that mean? You have a Secret Service agent, and I might, if I was, heading up with Philip's guys, I would have a Precinct 1 constable deputy with me, and we're on the radio, both of us are on the radio. So we both can talk to the command post on 2 different frequencies. We both know what's going on. A counter sniper would call and say, counter sniper team 3, on building 6, there's an open window. I see movement inside. I need you to go check that window. Check it out. Now, if they saw a rifle inside that window pointing out, do they need permission to shoot? So here's this other one that comes out of that. No. Whoever told you the Secret Service asked for permission to shoot someone are liars. Are absolute liars. Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 1995. I am the lead counter-assault team element on the golf course. There are 3 houses being built along the golf course of this fairway. They're all in different stages of building. I look at one of the guys on the second building, and he sends me a funny gesture with his finger. And there were about 11 or 12 of these construction workers there. Normal we would have done is rounded them all up, had an officer mag them, and then kept them right there while the president played by. Why they didn't do that was some other supervisor made a decision not to, just to leave them alone. And then my call sign was Hawkeye. And the call sign for the counter sniper guys is Hercules. And I hear in my radio, Hawkeye, Hawkeye, this is Hercules. Man with a gun, second building, upstairs with a rifle, I'm taking the shot. That was J.D. Coop. You talk about, did I just hear that? Oh yeah, I knew I heard it. I grabbed my rifle and I started running across that fairway as fast as I could. Now, I'm wearing 70 pounds of gear, and I get across, I ran through a creek and didn't even get wet. Right through that thing. And I run up to the guy that's standing there, because there was a ladder there. And I said, hey, where's the ladder? And he told me to find it myself. So we had a very short discussion on where that ladder went. Well, my rifle was right here in his face. He told me that the man had pulled it up. About that time, Mike Carbone and I did a Spider-Man up the side of this building. When I looked through the window, the guy was pointing an SKS rifle at my head. I did not drop back down. I went into the window, rolled up, came up with my rifle. He ran down the hallway. Mike and I chased him down the hallway. He threw the gun down, and when I got to him, he wanted to fight. What a mistake that was. He found out how tall a two-story building was. You have to cut this because I'm not going to say that. I guess that's out of statute of limitations. But he fell off the second story somehow. I'm not really sure how it happened. I think he missed the ladder. Yeah. So we don't need permission to shoot someone that's threatening the president or any other citizen. It doesn't matter as if they told me the guy was about to shoot someone with a rifle and I can see him here, he's going down. We're going to take him down that fast. So as you look at all these buildings, is what I'm trying to get at now, all these buildings were part of the problem. They're all inside what the counter sniper guys were looking at. So it wasn't just one building with one guy on it. It was a whole bunch of buildings that were outside the perimeter, okay? That were told by, we were told, the Secret Service was told by the local police, we got it. And when the local police tell me we got it, they got it, okay? And what I mean by that is I'm not walking around behind them, did you do this today? Did you take care of that other stuff? You see what I'm saying? That's kind of insulting to them. Their commander said, hey, we got this thing, so they got it. Now, a lot of the police officers haven't been interviewed yet. So we'll see what happens when that comes out. Next picture, please. Oh, and go back for a minute, please. I'm sorry. By the way, at this building 1, way down here, that's where he was down, but all these other buildings, they had parties going on because they couldn't get in. So if you see some of the people from the first videos that came out that this guy was on the building that were yelling, hey, the guy's got a gun, they're standing there with a beer in their hand going, I saw that guy up there with a gun. So it wasn't like he was out there by himself, just wandering around by himself. He was out there. So I know I'm supposed to cut this, let's go real quick. There's our counter sniper guys. Don't be on the wrong end of that rifle. There's our president. Last thing we're going to bring out is this. Risk tolerance. He stood up even though we were trying to keep him down. He wanted to wave to the crowd even though we're trying to keep him down. That's when the protectee is a problem. So there you go. Folks, thank you very much. I can answer some questions until tomorrow.
So we have about 15 minutes where we're going to answer questions, but is Holly, we're good? We have a surprise guest, and we don't usually just squeeze someone in, but we have to for Congressman Morgan Luttrell.
I'm so glad you guys came here to see me tonight. I'm sorry. How's everybody doing? Forgive my tardiness. My team and I have been traveling the district, so we came running from Charlie Raleigh. Good to see you, buddy. It's hard to miss. Love you to death. And Mr. Cash, good to see you. Man, I know everybody in here. Hey, we just came all the way from Livingston, so forgive me for coming in and kind of bombarding the show. I know the speakers, I know Judge Keogh has been just providing so much information for everybody, which I applaud that effort for. I'll be brief. The one thing that I'd like to share with everybody, I want you to hear this come from my mouth, okay? Last year, when we were dealing with the border, the House passed H.R. 2. H.R. 2 was the most conservative border bill in almost, I think, in the House history that we passed out. It went to the Senate, and it never left the Senate, so it died, unfortunately. And we worked very hard on that. The Republican Party really dug in, and that piece of legislation was amazing. This year, the Senate created a bipartisan piece of legislation for the border and immigration, and it never came down to the House. It died before it ever gained legs. Now we, in District 8, the congressional district that I represent you all in D.C., we are on the Homeland Security Committee, and we are on the Border and Immigration Subcommittee. So it is my job, and I campaigned on this, and I want you to hear me say this from my mouth. Not the news, not social media. Morgan's telling you this. It is my job
to fix the border and immigration in Congress. That's my position. And myself and members in the subcommittee on the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are having conversations to find answers to this problem. Now, this problem has existed for over 30 years in immigration, and the border is what it is. But we are having conversations on the best avenue forward to readdress the issue that failed last year and the issue that failed this year. It is my job to wade into these challenging waters, and I'm doing that. I want you to hear me say I am having conversations with my Democratic colleagues. If we want anything to go through the House, out of the House into the Senate, the Democratic Party, we're going to have conversations with those men and women, okay? We are. It's just how it is. If we don't do that, it's going to die like it did last year. We have made no promises. There is no legislation in place. I have not made a signature. We have not voted. We are simply having conversation on the issues, okay? And I want you to know that I'm wading into those waters for us. That is the number one thing you guys elected me for. I know it's not my good looks. And the complexities of this problem, ladies and gentlemen, the tip of the iceberg is what you see on TV, but everything that lives underneath the water is massive. There's no time frame that I can promise you, and there's just no promises right now because it is just me engaging with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, trying to find that proverbial sweet spot. Where does something live that both sides will say, okay, I'm going to get bloody, you're going to get bloody, but for the betterment of the country, what's best for the country, we'll come to that decision. I'll come back and present that to each and every one of you. I will say, this is where we are. This is where we'll be moving forward. Are you comfortable? If you tell me no, we are not, I'll back away. But I have to have these conversations, okay? Fair enough? All right, God bless. Outstanding. You guys back up now?
Doesn't he rock? He's awesome. You know, we were over in a river plantation. We've been called over there during the hurricane. And I was over there and getting ready to work on some things with the workers who were there. And here comes the congressman. Of course, as always, steals the show. He was awesome. You should have seen it, but I have a video on our Facebook. And I want to tell you, we moved the needle that day, didn't we? It was amazing what took place by just getting involved like that. Congressman, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you so much. We have provided information here tonight. Now here's an opportunity for you to ask some questions. So who here would like to ask some questions of any of our guys who are here today? Yes.
I have a question for our first speaker. My mind is fuzzy on a couple of years back, but these folks from Haiti, how did they get here in the first place? Because if my geography is right, there's a body of water in between. And so that was what occurred to me. How did they get to our front door in the first place?
There was a hurricane in Haiti, or an earthquake, some natural disaster years before. And a lot of them went to South America as refugees. They all came up from Brazil. I think quite a few of them were in Ecuador. And then they made the big hike up here.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Were they incentivized in any way to, outside of just fleeing a natural disaster? Or was...
Were they incentivized to come here?
Yeah.
I think President Biden in his campaign speeches was saying, "Welcome to America."
Okay.
That's my paraphrasing, but yeah, it was pretty common knowledge to all of them. A lot of them, Haiti's not America as far as advancements and everything else. Some of them were asking where the money tree was. And some of them were asking where the money tree was, and it was a serious question. They actually thought that money grew on trees in America. So, if I could just take a quick second, Congressman Latrell, you probably don't know this. My son's in special operations. He's Special One Team 20. When he left for boot camp, we were in the airport and he got a phone call from Congressman Latrell. A mutual friend of ours put it together, but that was a huge encouragement to my son, so thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Who else has a question? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Mr. Burley as well as Mr. Ashford.
Okay.
Mr. Burley, what
what kind of support do we offer to the individuals, the Border Patrol officers that are being blasted in the news and the media? Like, what kind of support is offered to them?
What kind of support do we offer? Yes, what kind of support do we offer special officers?
Yeah, like the officer that was accused of assaulting that Haitian alien. Like, what kind of support do we offer him and his family? You know, going basically the entire
Yeah,
world.
who is accused of something, and what do we do to support them?
I'm going to go into a once upon a time story. Jesus. I'll learn before the end of the night, I promise. In a short answer, nothing. There's a brotherhood with law enforcement, and that's who comes alongside an officer in a situation like that. The politicians do not. This administration definitely did not. They were wrong. It was proven they were wrong, and I was always told, if you're wrong, admit it and make amends, and this administration did not. So that's kind of a quick answer. Personal story. Back in, geez, I don't remember, it was a million years ago, there was a guy that showed up at my church in Montgomery. He was an illegal alien. I knew him, he knew me. He was number 3 on our most wanted list, so he didn't make it out of the church without handcuffs. But Houston Chronicle got a hold of it, and the poor illegal was just trying to worship God, and that jackbooted agent dragged him out and everything else. So there's a lot of kind of outside influences that come into effect. You know, comparing the agent to the KKK, the vice president did that. I mean, it's terrible.
Not surprising.
It's not, but it's terrible because it has an effect on that agent. I'm sure he's got a lot more gray hair now than he did before.
All right. Yes. Somebody from over on this side. Yes.
Okay, thank
Jim
you.
Frederick.
Hey, question to Jim. First of all, Jim, thanks for your service. What great stories. You ought to write a book. But anyway, thanks again. A couple of questions about the Butler incident. The comms, the communications between local law enforcement and the federal folks, the Secret Service, were they up to standard, what you believe should be in place for an event like that? That's the first question. Second question.
Hey, Jim, I can only remember one at a time.
All right, let's take another. Let's take another.
Local law enforcement and the cops.
Communications.
Communication. Tell us about that.
So real quick, very quick answer. Who's here from the sheriff's office? Can you talk to Conroe PD? Do you hear any calls from Conroe PD? When I was the chief out in Montgomery, I had to get a call from the assistant DA to tell me, hey, Conroe PD's involved in a shooting at the Walmart there in Montgomery. And I had to call my guys to send them out there. There's never good communication because somebody's ego gets in the way. The police have their own net. The Secret Service has their net. How we try to beat that is by putting them in the same room together. So that when one call comes over radio, he tells this guy over here, then Brett calls it to them. It doesn't always work as well as you want it to. Unfortunately, at Butler, they had a unifying command post for all the locals, and then only a state trooper captain in the Secret Service command post. So whatever happened in the unified one was supposed to be sent to the captain in the Secret Service one, and then pass it down. Think of how long that takes. It's ridiculous. It was wrong. It was definitely dead wrong, but it's very difficult to explain to you how all these different frequencies work. I'd have to bring in somebody else to do that for you.
So would that account for the delay, why they didn't delay putting the president on the stage?
They had no earthly idea what was going on. They just knew there was something. So I got to bring one more thing. If a guy's walking around out there and he's not doing anything wrong, he just looks weird, is that enough probable cause for a law enforcement officer to say, hey, you need to sit down, you're under arrest? For what? He didn't do anything till he climbed up on the roof and became a threat up there with a rifle. He was walking around with a golf, a rangefinder, and you know what? You put it on your pin, and you look through it and go, okay, that's 250 yards. That's not illegal to carry around. So you guys got to think of this. The folks in the press go crazy. Oh, he had a rangefinder. And so.
Thank you.
All right. Another yes, ma'am.
I don't know.
regards to the building and the perimeter, would you have had that building in that perimeter?
Only if I had been given the manpower to do so. And I'll tell you, the congressman's probably left already. We get told no a lot, a lot. I send to headquarters my manpower requirement, and they send back, you got to do it with this. I can't tell you. I literally, as the resident agent in charge in Waco, was told, you need to make this a cookie cutter. And I'm talking to this guy in headquarters, I go, you want to tell me that one more time? A cookie cutter? It's 104 degrees out there every day, you know, so.
All right, 3 more questions. All the way to the back, yes.
Yes, first of all, thank you for your service. I do have a question about the Johnson situation. It was my understanding
We can't hear you. Go ahead.
about the Butler situation. I do have one question. And I saw an interview, and who knows if this is accurate, but one of the local leaders said there was 0 advance meeting between Secret Service and the local. Any?
Okay, regarding Butler, he said one of the local leaders said there was 0 advance meetings about it, and so he was asking your question.
As far as I know, that's not true, okay? When he says there's 0 advance meetings, that means on game day, they didn't get together at game day, which started early in the morning, even though for a 6 o'clock event, because they had to build the stage, and they were building all the events, and trying to get the people in, and doing sweeps and everything else. Normally, our meetings are 3 days beforehand, or 5 days beforehand. We split up, and then if there's a problem, we get back together. But if the police are telling me they got it, and they come to they call me on the phone, that's almost as good as having a meeting. We talk on the phone, hey, you guys got the situation? Yeah, it's good, we're good to go. Again, I'm not walking around, I used to do that in Waco, walk around behind everybody, and I got in trouble for it, so that's another story. But seriously, because I was told, I was responsible. There was no meeting that morning, you're right. The police went out and did their thing, and the Secret Service did theirs inside that perimeter. And that's why we split it up, because it's just too much to handle without enough people. So, yeah, I could go on.
All right, yes, right here. Yes, sir.
I have another question on the follow-up. I know most of the time you're dealing with money quarterback for things go wrong. But there's talk of a water tower that will oversee the entire area. Is that true? Yes.
Water tower. Tell us about the water tower we're seeing there.
Okay, so the water tower is even further out. It's looking back. If I put one of our counter snipers on the water tower, and he looks down and he sees this guy here, and the president is over here, what's the issue? We're shooting back into our own place. That's why CS never looks into our events. We always look out of our events. We looked at the water tower, and it was under surveillance. So if someone had been on the water tower, they'd have seen him. But crawling along the roof, it took them a while. Now, I'm hearing 2 different things. Now, I still talk to a lot of the guys that are still on the job. They're telling me that they were told that the CS guys saw the guy on the roof, thought it was the police officer that was supposed to be up there. And then, again, radioed it in. Here we go back to the radio thing. Back in, come out. Oh, that's not us. Oh, who is that then? And there's your delay, okay? It only took 6 seconds for this whole thing to go down. You realize that? And then, you know, if you talk about John Hinckley, that was 1.6 seconds for him to shoot all 6 rounds at the president that day. So it's fast. It's always fast. And to delay that going back and forth with different radios, that's the problem.
Okay, last question. I'm going to ask it. The slope on the roof.
All right, guys, seriously, when CS does their thing, we look at slopes on roofs and we decide whether that's actually someone could get on it or they couldn't get on it. Not so much the police, but assailants. Could they climb up a slope like this and then make a perch up there to shoot at us? And more than likely not. So when she was talking, we'll go the route. I was a chief, so if I had been the director, that night when the shooting happened, I'd have been on the next plane, some transportation to Pittsburgh, to be there the next day before saying anything. Finally, Ronald Rowe had a presser. I think that's the biggest thing the Secret Service has a problem with. They don't get out in front of the people and tell us what's going on. And I got stuck with that too. Oh, you can't say anything to the press. Don't, you know, whatever happened out at the ranch, you can't tell them. No. So they are very bad at that. The slope of the roof is a joke. Because she just thought, oh, well, we didn't put it up there because it was a bad slope. She didn't even know idea what the hell it even looked like. So, and I'm sure she got spanked for that one, so she doesn't have a job anymore. So there you go.
Thank you. Hey, Keith, go ahead, real loud.
What really bothers me is the most opportune spot for a shooter to perch and take a shot at the president. Why was that most obvious perch not under surveillance?
Keith, we're all three of us
Really
can't
bothers
hear
me.
Why was
have
the
to
most
speak up.
obvious perch for a sniper not under surveillance? That's what he said.
Why is the obvious perch for a sniper not under surveillance?
Okay, unfortunately, Congressman Luttrell's left, right? Yeah. I would use him as a backup. That is probably the worst perch in the world for a sniper, if you know what a sniper really does. A sniper shoots from a very secretive, enclosed position so that the counter-snipers or anyone else can't see them. Climbing up on top of a roof and sticking your head up, it took them 1.7 seconds to put a round. One round drilled in a second and a half. It was supposed to be manned. Over and over again. We're going to say that over again. The police said they had it, and they didn't. And because, how many agencies were out there? There was the local Butler police, there was the county police, and then there was the state police. So there's 3 law enforcement agencies all trying to interact together to accomplish one task. It really doesn't work that well sometimes. It just doesn't. And like I said, if it had been a really good sniper position, we'd have never seen him. Like, you know,
Clear line of sight. Every place that has clear line of sight.
everybody's, yeah, we could discuss that for hours.
Come see Jim afterwards, Keith. Listen, thank y'all very much. How about these 2 patriots? Are they awesome?
Okay, I'm going to dismiss y'all, and then Judge Keogh will pray for us as we go home. I wanted to thank Honor Cafe. Y'all know they're not open tonight. They open for us to be here. So thank you so much, Honor Cafe. And our next meeting will be October 7th. We will have Congressman Morgan Luttrell. We will have Texas Ag Commissioner Sid Miller there, someone from Governor Abbott's team. And then I also wanted to recognize that there is someone we missed earlier, Liberty County Republican women. And what's her name? Nancy Hart, new clone, Liberty County. Thank you for being here. And then thank you to our speakers, and Judge Keogh will close us out in prayer. They'll still be around if you have more questions. Thank you.
So you'd all stand with me together as we close in prayer. Father God, we thank you tonight that you have brought to us patriots like this, and all 3 of these men who have come here to share with us their experiences. Father, how you raise people up like this in all of our law enforcement. Where do we find men like this? We thank you. We especially thank you for all of those first responders, for our constables and all of their men, and our sheriff's office and our district attorney, Father, and our judiciary, all of these that have created an environment, a culture of deterrence that we are in here in Montgomery County that is shared by very few around this state. So we thank you for them. We ask for their safety. We ask that we would give them, and with the understanding, we would give them what they need to perform at every level to protect the people of this great county. Father, we thank you for this Republican Club and their stance and all those who are here with us. We pray this now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.